All right, everybody. In this video, a friend of mine and I, you see him there welding through this time lapse. We took on a job for a friend of ours to add pods to his aluminum john boat. The reason that most people want these pods is to help with buoyancy and flotation and leveling out in shallower waters. We're going to show you our process as to how we go about this. Stay tuned for some fun. All right, everybody, CB's got this side here almost finished welded up. What we're going to do now is we're going to get the other tune marked out so we can grind it off. We got to get this corner of the flange as close to this corner as possible without overlapping the outside of the boat or the bottom of the boat. So what we're going to do is CB's going to hold it up there. We're going to throw this 4-foot level on it because the tune is also supposed to be level. And CB knows where the boat is right now in regards to level sitting on the garage floor. And we're going to mark this sucker out so you can grind some paint away and get the second tune tacked in. You may go ahead and put the level on it once you get it there, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, go ahead. Put it on the other one too. Stretch it across.
Alright, so he's wanting the level to touch the other tune and this tune, center of both kind of thing. That way he can eyeball both at the same time, get it where he likes it. And again, even though this corner's dented, we got to get it as close to the bottom and the side as we can. Tell me when you're ready. Well, he likes to use white paint marker so he can see it really well on this olive green or whatever color you want to call this. Camo green, some people call it others, different stuff. And we'll sneak in between him here. You moved it a little bit, bud. Go back to your left. It also gives us a good eyeball if we move it a little bit. About right there looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Like it?
Mm-hmm.
Mark it all the way around here. He's gonna get all the paint off of there in that area so that he does not have any of that paint create what he calls a trashy weld. CB is a very particular individual when it comes to his welds. Huh? Look at that grin on his face. You can see over here, that dark spot right there, there's a little bit of trash in the aluminum. He had all the paint ground away, but whenever you're TIG welding, it turns it black, and what that'll do is create a hole. If he's not careful, it'll blow it out. So we got it marked. Next step, CB, you're gonna take that tiger paw, right?
Yeah.
And he's gonna go around that white line, create a 1-inch or 2-inch area just like you see over here. Get that tune put up there, block it up, tack it off on the corners. Come over here, finish welding this one, and then come over here and start welding that one. All right, everybody, this next step is to show you our process of cleaning after he tiger paws it off. He uses isopropyl alcohols that does not leave residue. All right, you see CB's doing the same thing here to the flange on the actual tune. He's doing that for the same reason that he does it to the boat. He wants to make sure that he has raw aluminum that is weldable to raw aluminum. Any paint, like I explained a minute ago, will create those black spots and blowouts. Alright, CB has got everything ground, cleaned, and now strapped. It's hard to hold this thing still, so what CB has done is blocked it up from the bottom at the same height as the bottom of the other pod, and he's used duct tape to create a suspension strap, if you will, on the front side of the transom to the bottom side of the pod. So as he welds this thing off, he gets as little movement as possible. We're going to end up with some movement, but minimizing that is key. He's going to tack off the corners, probably a couple of spots in the middle of the long runs, and then we'll get to welding the other side solid. It held though. My goodness, you should have felt that pressure when that weld started falling in there. Crop out at the beginning of it. Like that. I didn't feel it pull up, but it did suck it further out over here. You want me to push harder now? Alright, for some of you who might not know what we mean by tack, he's put a short weld there and a short weld here. Those are tack welds. What it does is holds it in place so once we tack it elsewhere, we can get rid of all of our blocks. As you can see, some things you might run into when you do these pods on a boat that is not new is you have transom bow from the force of the motor. So we have a gap here, but you can see the gap disappears as you go to that other side. So now what we'll do is we'll try to force it this way, all at the same time of keeping it level with the other one to try to get as many performance gains as we can. And we'll tack this corner, top corner of the notch, bottom corner of the pod, then it'll be held in place and we can persuade it the rest of the way to ensure that it's flush against the boat. Alright, you can see we got a ratchet strap hooked around that pod going to the opposite corner of the trailer. You saw the gap that we had on that top corner. Now you can see the majority of that gap is gone. Once we tack this corner here, that corner there, and this bottom corner, we'll then be able to ensure that we can rid of all the rest of these voids by persuading it. And when I say persuading it, I think everyone knows what we're talking about when we talk about persuading it. Sometimes the transom of a boat isn't perfectly straight. We had to persuade it with a strap, and then we're going to persuade it with a persuader to make it match. Let's see how this flows. It's not going. There you go. All right, folks, the welder, connoisseur, that guy right there, got the tunes, pods, whatever you want to call them, welded up. Are you happy with your welds? Are they watertight?
Watertight.
Are you happy with your welds?
No.
He says that every time. He's full of it. Welds are great. Anyway, he's got it welded solid to ensure there's no water that gets in here, even though it has a drain plug. But you can see it's filled with foam for buoyancy. He's got it welded all the way down. You can see this glob right here. That's actually really good compared to what that looked like during his welding process. In this hem/weld of this transom, it actually had a very soft thin spot that blew out. The reason it blew out this way is because of all the foam that's on the backside that this boat is full of. And that foam gets really hot, liquid lava, and it actually blows out towards him, and he had a pretty decent hole there. So that is awesome compared to what it looked like prior to him spending, what was it, CB? 4 hours on that one spot?
Wow.
3.5, 4 hours. So that one spot is 3.5 to 4 hours. This evening, you saw earlier, we just tacked that tune on, that pod. It's fully welded off. So when you have blowouts, you have to figure out a way to fix it or the boat's gonna sink, obviously. So you can see he's got it welded all the way around solid, all the way to the top. We come over here to the other tune. Same thing, welded all the way around, down across the bottom, solid. Next step, since this is warm, I'm not gonna touch it because it's really warm. We like to hit it with the good old spray bomb. Rust-Oleum, camouflage 2X ultra cover. This color, deep forest green, if you can see that there, is actually really good matching. You can kind of see the way this looks here in the light. Great coverage. Don't have to worry too much about runs because the material is still warm from the solid weld. Once that dries, that will blend right into the old paint. We actually did a job on the front of this boat that we didn't video because we weren't for sure of the outcome due to the fact that it was tore up pretty good before we started. So we decided to video the pods. But instead of me painting and videoing and messing up CB's beautiful job here, as that dries, it looks really dark green right now. But as that dries, it looks better. I'll show you what we did on the front of this boat and explain to you what happened. Put a light out here. So the owner of this boat ripped off that lockdown right there. That used to be a single hole lockdown. And you can see up here, if I can get the shadows out of the video, you can see how the paint matches almost perfectly. You can see a slight coloration difference. That's close enough for who it's for. The individual that's having us do this work, it's a friend of ours. He is tickled to death with how everything turned out. But this front side here, it had this angled plate put on it because the original hook ripped out of the original hull. So we welded this, CB welded this angle on this front side as a stiffener, and he welded it solid. He didn't stitch weld it. And he wanted to do that because of all the pressure that's on this hook whenever this boat gets towed down the road. Then we go back to the back side here. You'll be able to see as the paint dries, you can see on this corner over here, it's drying and it's blending really well. It's gonna come out nice, it's gonna look good. Not factory, but look good. I think our buddy is gonna be tickled to death with this. CB?
He better be.
He better be. We say he better be because we don't charge our friends for this. Next time we need some help, we pick up the phone, this young man will be there to help us. I've got the welder, I've got the garage space, CB has the expertise on the actual TIG welding, because that's his profession. We feel comfortable to do these things because we did not cut into the boat. We're adding it to the boat. We're confident this boat has great flotation after this adder. And you all can Google it, but typically the hope to these pods is that your boat draft less water. allows you to get in what they call skinnier water, which is shallower water. And as you're running down full throttle, it typically allows you to get your water line further back in your boat because you have more boat even with your prop, backside of your motor, whatever you want to call it. You can look it up, get all the details on that. That's just how we feel about it. We're not for sure the performance that he will get out of these pods compared to the pods that are flush with the bottom of the boat. Thank you, sir. That's a little bit easier. I don't have to holler at the camera. Anyway, we're not for sure the performance that he's going to get out of this because of that 1-inch difference. We're not for sure he's going to get the amount of lift that he's looking for or the buoyancy to inshore he can draft in skinnier water. He's going to have to let us know that. Maybe one of these days, CB and I will get out in the boat with him and we'll be able to find out how the boat performs differently. And maybe then we can give you a review on these pods as to how they perform and how they helped or didn't help with this boat. But these were Sea Arc pods purchased by our buddy from Sea Arc. They came in this lovely box. Sea Arc's location is, let's see if we can find it here for you all. Monticello, Arkansas. And this individual went to Tyler Boats to purchase these items, as that's the same place that he purchased this tandem axle galvanized trailer that's actually made for this boat. When he purchased it, it didn't have the proper trailer, which is why that front hook broke off that you saw moments ago. I think that's it for this project. Is that it for this project?
Yeah.
Stay tuned for the next one. We've got some other projects on the horizon that are pretty interesting. Some adders to my boat, the Havoc. We'll see what we come up with there. You guys, as always, like, subscribe, comment, turn on your notifications so you know when I post a new video. So when we do get done with the project in the Havoc, you can see what's coming. Enjoy.